All right, what's going on, guys? I am Kadarius Washington, and y'all are checking out the Sports Rundown. And folks, the World Series is officially set. We have the LA Dodgers taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, and of course, the Blue Jays going back to the World Series for the first time since Touch 'em All Joe in 1993 when the Jays ripped back-to-back World Series titles. Of course, last night defeating the Seattle Mariners 4-3. And of course, the story of the game, George Springer, who has been huge in the month of October, hitting a huge 3-run bomb in the 7th inning and gave the Blue Jays a 4-3 lead, and that, of course, was ultimately the game. Vlad Jr. won ALCS MVP. He has been incredible, just been killing Seattle in this series along with Springer. And at the same time, folks, you gotta feel sick for the Mariners. Once again, so close yet so far from the World Series. They remain the only team in Major League Baseball without a World Series appearance. I mean, listen, folks, they survived that 5-game war against a scrappy Detroit Tiger team in the division series, and in their first ever Game 7 in franchise history, once again, the Seattle Mariners just fall short, man. Incredible year for Cal Riley, hitting 60 home runs in the year. And of course, as I've mentioned before, he's my pick to win AL MVP. And really, folks, this was really much a back and forth series. Of course, the Mariners won games 1 and 2, and then the Blue Jays won game 3 and 4, and then the Mariners made that late inning comeback to win in game 5, and then the Blue Jays dominated in game 6 to force a game 7 last night. And we've had some close games, we've had some blowouts, and I mean, even that Mariners comeback in Game 5, like I just mentioned. So this series pretty much had it all. And I know that we previously talked about the possibility of having an all-Pacific / all-West Coast World Series, and it would have been the first one since '02 with the Angels and the Giants. And that, of course, is now gone as the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, what a story for the Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays finished dead last in the AL East last year. They turn it around and win 94 games this year. They win the AL East in a tiebreaker against the Yankees. And by the way, they ultimately took down the Yankees in their division series, and now the Blue Jays are heading to the Fall Classic where they will meet the Dodgers, who punched their ticket to the World Series on Friday night following their sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers, who finished with the best record in baseball all year and owned the Dodgers in the regular season. But in Game 4, we all know the story of that game. Shohei Ohtani. Shohei freaking Ohtani. Because before Friday night, Shohei had a fairly quiet postseason. Only 3 for 29 and only 1 extra base hit, and hadn't pitched since Game 1 of the NLDS against the Phillies. But on Friday night, folks, Shohei Ohtani absolutely erupted with a signature playoff performance with 6 innings of scoreless, 2-hit, 10 strikeout baseball. And if that wasn't enough, the dude went 3 for 3 with 3 home runs, all of them moonshots. And I don't even think that one of them's even landed yet because the ball was hit so hard. I mean, Shohei Ohtani in Game 4 literally hit and pitched the Dodgers to the World Series. And I think that it is hard to deny that what we saw on Friday night was the single greatest performance in the history of baseball. Obviously, we weren't alive with the Ruth era, so obviously we don't know we haven't seen any of that. But what we saw on Friday night, I believe, was the single greatest performance in the history of baseball. And of course, obviously, he won NLCS MVP. And it's crazy to think about the Dodgers' performances, especially with the pitching, the starting pitching, in that series against the Brewers. Of course, Game 1 was the Blake Snell game, and then the Yoshinobu Yamamoto complete game in Game 2, and then the Shohei Ohtani game in Game 4, a game that I think we are going to be talking about for a long, long time, and probably a team that we're going to be talking about for a long time too, as the Dodgers, as many as predicted, are back in the World Series, and I'm going to pick the Dodgers to win this thing in 6. I feel like the Dodgers obviously have the more dangerous starting pitching. They've got the more dangerous bats. I mean, their starting pitching has been phenomenal this postseason, but the Dodgers bullpen has been worrisome, even though Rory Sasaki has been great as a closer. But like I said last year when the Dodgers won the World Series, they won it with their bullpen. And if they win it this year, it's going to be with their starting pitching. And the Blue Jays, of course, they got a lot of good bats, so I would anticipate the Blue Jays trying to run up the pitch count as far as the Dodgers starting pitching is concerned, so they could at least maybe have a shot at getting that worrisome, as I mentioned, bullpen. But I really don't think this is going to be a short series. I don't think this thing is going to be over in a sweep or in 5 games. I would be surprised if that were the case, but I think the Blue Jays are going to be very, 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 very competitive in this one, but I like the Dodgers to win this thing in 6. And of course, Game 1 Friday night at 7 o'clock, and Toronto has home field. I think this is going to be a really, really good World Series. Should be a lot of fun, folks. Should be a lot of fun. Like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again, and also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports, and I will see y'all the next time. Peace.